Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sam's Financial Corner. And in today's episode, we're going over the second part of laying a financial foundation. So, this episode is for laying a financial foundation in your 30s. And even if you're not in your 20s anymore, I do implore you to go back and just watch the first video. There are tips that'll help you in that, and some are in this one as well. But I just invite you to do it. Why? Because hey, like my videos, trying to get trying to get my numbers up. I'm trying to get everything up. I'm really trying to just do my best, and I want to get myself out there more. And I know I have to do that, but I'm kind of digressing a little bit, so forgive me for that. But anyway, let's dive right in. So, the first step, save 15% of your gross income. And if you notice the one for your 20s, I said lay 10%. The reason is financially you're behind. I'm just going to say it. And so you're going to start playing the game of catch up. If you weren't doing anything in your 20s, it was the saying, no use crying over spilled milk, something like that. It's already done. Your 20s are done. You're in your 30s. You got to keep moving. You can't look back and say, oh, I wish I would have done that. Nah. Hindsight is 2020. Let's think about today. So number one, you have to save 15% of your gross income. And if you feel that that is too much, then what I'll do is I'll make this a little bit flexible. And I kind of said in the other video, but I'll say it in this one. If you feel like you can't right away, you gotta always start with something. But you're gonna have to push to that 15%. Don't say I can't do 15% and then never do it. You gotta do that 15%. You gotta catch up. You gotta give yourself the ability to have that cushion that is so important. It is so important to have money saved away. It's not about how much you have saved away. It's really about knowing that you have your back. And honestly, one of the best things about saving money, it's not necessarily about having a large amount of money, but it's about knowing that in case something happens, I have something to fall back on. Simply put, I got one less thing to worry about, and we all need one less thing to worry about. All right, so step two, we're going to start utilizing credit responsibly. So if you're in your 30s, I already know you probably have several credit cards, you probably have several charge cards. Look, you don't need all of them. And I'm going to invite you to pay some of them off and close them out. I know people like, but I've had these cards maybe, 10 years, 15, 16. I don't care. You don't need to have access to that much credit. You don't. Especially if you haven't been using it responsibly. If you haven't been using it responsibly, it's time to cut those ties and let it go. You can keep one card. I do believe in having a card for emergencies. The good thing that you can do is look for a card that gives you some sort of benefit. Now, I know we're still going through COVID and those things, but still, at some point, we are going to get back to traveling around. And some people have said, F COVID, I'm still going to travel. Some people, they went to the Dominican Republic, they've been to other places, they've been traveling regardless. So my advice to you is, if a card that gives you a good amount of cash back and that's a perk that you want, then have a card that does that. If you want a card that gives you frequent flyer miles, do that. If you have a card that gives you all kind of rebates on other things, then definitely use that. My advice to you is, no matter what you do, make sure that you're always engaging in anything that benefits you, especially when it comes to your money. So if you're going to use a credit card, of course, use it responsibly. Don't charge up to the maximum. You want to really, you don't even want to utilize more than 40% at any given time. But like I said before in the previous video, if you haven't had credit or you want to bolster your credit, pay down if you have a lot of cards. If you're the type of person who really has never used credit, always did cash, then what you do is you have your credit card. You can have 2 or 3 things going on and you pay it off. But that's how you should do it anyway. Credit cards are short-term loans, and because of that, the interest rates are a lot higher. And in my opinion, I feel that the interest rates on some of these credit cards are absolutely predatory. But let's continue before this turns into another kind of video. The next step is basically retirement. So for the company that you work for, you're going to want to invest in their 401k or 403b, their retirement plan. It is your responsibility as soon as you can to input or invest the maximum amount that you can. If your employer does matching, that is an added bonus, but never invest only up to the matching. You give the maximum that you can. That's very important. Also, you're going to want an IRA account, which is an individual retirement account. You definitely want one of those, and I think Fidelity, E-Trade, a lot of them have these accounts. And the reason I'm saying you need to have another one is because the generation before us had pensions. We don't have pensions. And with these 401ks and 403bs, they're invested in the stock market, they're invested in other things. You don't know how things are going to go. And sometimes the point is you might actually need more. So if you're putting away more, you'll definitely have more. And I need to remember to put the link in my video that I did talking about the difference between a traditional versus a Roth IRA, because that's very important too. Taxes are a big thing, and what we have to do is remember that even though we are not these multi-millionaires and have all this money, we still need to do everything we can to limit the amount of taxes that we pay. We need our money more than others. Seriously. Okay, so the next thing is, of course, in my fun thing, my shameless plug, to talk about my course on Thinkific, entitled Thinkific. I'm sorry, I want to say it because the way I say it, I'm like, I think I'm saying it differently. It doesn't sound like Thinkific. It sounds like something else. But anyway, it's on Thinkific. It's called The Psychology of Money. It is an excellent tool to help you understand how you spend, the way you spend, and just your relationship with money overall. So I invite you to purchase the course. It really will definitely change the way you see things. So next, start investing in the stock market. What I'm going to say is, my advice for you is, if you haven't been investing, I'm going to invite you. You can use Webull. There's a site called Doe. There are many apps out there, and just do your research and find one that's going to work well for you. If it's your first time investing, you may want an all-in-one that gives you market research, news, updates, etc., things like that. So I would suggest, especially if you're in the beginning, invest in what you know. Look around the house. What do you consume on a daily basis? Or what is a product that a company makes that you absolutely buy? And then invest in those. You can do 2 or 3. And in the beginning, you don't have to do a lot. The goal is for you to become comfortable with investing, to become educated so that you can start making more decisions when it comes to stock purchases. I would also suggest maybe watching like CNBC or something like that. Just, you don't have to watch all day long. Don't become obsessed. Don't try to follow what everyone says buy and stuff. Don't do all of that in the beginning, or don't do that at all. But really, in the beginning, the goal for me, what I want for you, is just to become comfortable with the markets. And I'm sorry about my voice. My sinuses are insane right now, so I apologize for how I sound. But I think it's important for you, and this is what I want you to walk away with. Knowledge is absolute power. And the more knowledge you have, the more educated decisions you can make. It doesn't, how can I say that? The way I want to say it is, education does not mean that you may not make a mistake or that you won't learn or that you can, things can't happen. But when you are able, especially when it comes to stocks, when you're able to make educated decisions about your investments, number one, you feel good about yourself. Number two, you feel more in control of your financial picture. And number three, it is a real confidence booster when they can talk about stock splits, reverse stock splits, clawbacks, and other things, and you know what those things are. It makes you feel good. It doesn't, because in the beginning, when I used to watch them a long time ago, I didn't understand half the things that they were talking about, and I'm like, oh my God. But I would make myself watch. It was the nightly business report was it on MPT? I forgot which public station it was, but I used to watch it all the time, and I kept watching it until I understood what the hell they were talking about. And I'm gonna tell you this, it feels good. And you don't have to watch stuff every day, but just be consistent with it. It's going to make a big difference in the long run. The next thing, start a savings account for your kids. I mentioned in the last video, and I'm gonna mention in this one because it's so important. You need to give your child that leg up, not just with money, but also with knowledge, whatever you learned. I think there's an app called Greenlight. Well, I know that there's some apps or some programs out there that let you create debit cards for kids. And because of that, I think that that's a great tool, and I do want to review that. I got a lot of things. I feel like every time I do a video, I'm like, I'm going to make another video, But I do want to touch on that. But getting back to this, it is important for you to put money aside for your kids. It is so important to do that, to give them a firm foundation. But like I said in the previous video, you can't give money and not give education. If you give education without money, it's good because they can move a little bit faster than you and avoid some of the pitfalls. But if you give them money and don't give them the education, they'll just spend it, and then they'll be like you starting from day one. But when you give them both, they will have the ability to understand what money is, to respect it, and to utilize it responsibly. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. My voice going, so let me keep going. I apologize, but whenever I'm trying to do a video, it's always a whole bunch of noise. Whenever I'm chilling, it's not, but it is what it is, and I'm just going to leave it because I don't care. So when you're in your 30s and you're trying to lay a financial foundation and you're behind, it really behooves you to get an additional source of income. And this day and age, everything is virtual. You can do everything from being a virtual assistant to doing a call center. There are just so many things that you can do. And I know that if you're a parent, especially if you're a single parent, you don't have a lot of time, and there are a lot of things you have to do. But I really think it's important, if you're behind in your financial picture, you need to find another source of income. And there are so many resources out there. So I would say do your research and find one that works best for you. The best ones are always when you can work on your own schedule, on your own time, because that just allows for flexibility, and you need that. The last thing I'm going to say, because this video is a lot longer than I wanted it to be, was paying down debts. You're going to absolutely have to make that a priority. And I know that's going to constrict your budget, but you're going to have to make debt management a top priority. If you don't, it's going to hurt you in the long run. And the goal is, of course, to have more money. So again, work out a plan, pay down your debts. So that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.